Let me tell you something about the test before the testimony. People love to celebrate the victory, but they don't respect the process. They'll applaud the crowd, but they will ignore the cross. They'll admire the glow, but they won't talk about the fire that made it shine. You want the testimony? Then you've got to endure the test. See, everybody wants to be great. Everybody wants to break through. Everybody wants to break through. Everybody wants the pressure that produces it. Not everybody wants the long nights when doubt is loud and results are quiet. Not everybody wants to stay disciplined when nothing seems to be changing. But that's where the transformation happens. The test is not there to break you. It is there to prove you. It's there to stretch you. It's there to show you what you're made of. Because you don't know your own strength until you're forced to use it. The bow, you have trouble in your house. It is the bow. You don't know how deep your faith runs until the ground beneath you starts shaking. Pressure reveals character. When everything is easy, anybody can smile. When everything is going your way, anybody can believe. But when the doors close, when the money gets tight, when the support disappears, when the opportunity slips through your fingers, that's when the real you shows up. And let me be clear, the struggle is not a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that you're growing. It's a sign that you're growing. Think about it. Muscles only grow when they're under resistance. Gold only becomes pure when it's refined in fire. The very thing you're asking to be removed might be the very thing building the capacity you'll need for where you're going. You say you want impact. You say you want influence. You say you want purpose. But purpose requires preparation. Influence requires integrity. Impact requires endurance. And endurance is built in the test. There are moments in life when you'll feel overlooked. People in your house. You'll feel like you're doing the work and nobody sees it. You're putting in the hours and nobody applauds. You're staying consistent and nobody acknowledges it. Good, because obscurity builds humility. Silence builds strength. And humility and strength will carry you farther than attention ever could. You don't need the spotlight right now. You need the shaping. Sometimes the closed door is redirection. Sometimes the loss is trimming away what can't go with you into your next season. The circle in your house. If everything you prayed for happened instantly, you wouldn't have the discipline to sustain it. If every door opened the first time you knocked, you wouldn't have the resilience to handle the weight behind it. The test is asking one question. Do you still believe when there's no evidence? Can you stay committed when it's inconvenient? Can you stay faithful when it's uncomfortable? Can you keep showing up when nobody's clapping? That's the difference between those who dream and those who become. Anybody can start when they inspire. B can continue when they're exhausted. Anybody can declare faith when things are smooth. Few can stand firm when the storm hits, and maybe right now you feel like the storm has your name on it. The most trouble in your house. Maybe you feel like you've been hit from every side, but hear me clearly. Storms don't come to destroy sturdy structures. They come to reveal which ones are sturdy. If you're still standing, that means there's something solid inside you. You might bend, but you won't break. You might feel tired, but you're not finished. You might feel pressure, but pressure is producing something in you that comfort never could. One day, you're going to tell this story. One day, you're going to stand tall and speak about the season that almost took you out. And people will see the victory, but you'll remember the test. You'll remember the tears. You'll remember the nights when quitting felt easier than continuing. And you'll be grateful you didn't stop. Because the test didn't come to embarrass you. It came to elevate you. It didn't come to expose your weakness. It came to develop your strength. It didn't come to end your story. It didn't come to end your story. It came to prepare you for a bigger chapter. So when it gets hard, and it will, don't ask, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is this building in me? Ask, what is this building in me? Ask, shift the perspective, embrace the process, stand firm in the fire. Now let's talk about something that tests even the strongest believer, the silence. Not the noise, not the chaos, the silence. That space where you pray with everything in you and nothing seems to move. That moment when you're doing your best to hold it together, but heaven feels quiet. No signs, no signals, no immediate answers. That kind of silence can shake you because when you cry out and don't hear anything back, it's easy to assume you're alone. It's easy to think you've been forgotten. It is It is easy to let doubt start whispering louder than your faith. But let me shift your perspective. Silence is not absence. Silence is not abandonment. Silence is not abandonment. Silence is strategy. A teacher is always quiet during the test, not because they don't care, but because they're watching to see what you've learned. Growth doesn't happen when someone keeps giving you the answers. Growth happens when you're forced to apply what's already inside you. You've been praying for strength. Maybe the silence is the opportunity to use it. You've been asking for wisdom. Maybe the quiet is giving you space to exercise it. You've been asking for elevation. Maybe the silence is building the foundation so you don't collapse when you rise. We live in a world that worships instant result, fast food, fast success, fast validation. But real transformation, that takes time. Roots grow in silence. The seeds break open underground before they ever reach sunlight. And just because you can't see what's happening beneath the surface doesn't mean nothing is happening in your house. Some of the greatest shifts in your life are taking place in rooms you cannot see. You're frustrated because the door hasn't opened yet, but maybe the silence means the hinges are still being prepared. You're upset because the opportunity hasn't arrived. Maybe the quiet means your character is still being strengthened to handle it. There's something powerful about learning to trust without constant reassurance. Anybody can believe when they see progress. Anybody can celebrate when they see results. But when days turn into weeks and weeks turn into months and you're still waiting, that's when faith becomes real. Silence stretches your patience, it stretches your discipline, it stretches your endurance, and stretching is uncomfortable. But stretching increases capacity. If you don't stretch, you don't grow. If you don't grow, you can't carry more. Maybe the silence isn't punishment. Maybe it's preparation for weight you've never carried before. Think about this. If every prayer were answered immediately, would you still seek growth? If every request were granted on demand, would you develop perseverance? There is something sacred about the waiting season. It teaches you to rely not on what you see, but on what you believe. And belief without evidence, that's maturity. It is trouble in your house. You may feel like nothing is happening, but behind the scenes, things are aligning, conversations are taking place you know nothing about. Opportunities are forming you haven't imagined. Protection is happening that you don't even realize you needed. Sometimes the quiet is covering you. Sometimes the delay is defending you. Sometimes what feels like stillness is actually divine movement, moving at a pace you can't yet comprehend. Don't mistake quiet seasons for empty seasons. They are full of lessons, full of growth, full of strengthening, full of unseen construction. You are being built in the dark. And when the lights finally come on, people will call it sudden. They'll say you appeared out of nowhere. They'll think it happened overnight, but you'll know it was forged in silence. You'll know it was shaped in waiting. You'll know it was built when nobody was watching and nothing seemed to be moving. The silence demands trust. Trust that the same power that carried you this far hasn't stopped now. Trust that the same grace that protected you before is still active. Trust that what's meant for you cannot be canceled by a quay. This season, you don't need constant confirmation. You need consistent commitment. Keep showing up. Keep praying. Keep praying. Keep working. Keep believing, even when the sky seems closed, even when the answers feel delayed, even when the only thing you hear is your own heartbeat reminding you you're still alive for a reason. The quiet is not your enemy. The quiet is your training ground. Let's talk about that breaking point. That moment when you say, I can't take anymore. That moment when your chest feels heavy, your thoughts feel loud, and your strength feels like it's running on fumes. We all reach it. Every single one of us, the edge. It is the limit, the place where you wonder if this is where you fall apart. But what if that breaking point is in the end? What if it's the beginning of a new capacity you didn't know you had? See, we think breaking means failure. We think breaking means weakness. But sometimes breaking is just expansion in disguise. When a seed breaks open in the soil, it looks like destruction. It splits, it cracks, it loses its original form. But that breaking is the only way it becomes something greater. It stays whole, it stays buried. Some of you feel like you're cracking under pressure. Good. That pressure is stretching you beyond your old limits. You've been operating at one level for a long time, thinking at one level, believing at one level. Now life is dead and more feels uncomfortable. Growth is uncomfortable. What is uncomfortable? Growth is uncomfortable. You don't lift heavier weight and expect it to feel easy. You don't step into bigger responsibility and expect zero resistance. Expansion requires tension. And tension doesn't mean you're losing. It means you're building strength you didn't have before. There's a version of you on the other side of this pressure that you've never met. Stronger, wiser, more disciplined, more focused. But that version cannot be born without the old version being stretched to its limit. Sometimes you have to hit the wall to realize you can climb it. You say you're tired. Of course you are. You've been carrying things you were never meant to carry alone. You've been fighting battles quietly. You've been holding it together when everything inside you wanted to collapse. But the fact that you're still here, still listening, still breathing, that tells me something powerful. The breaking point is not there to destroy you. It's there to redefine you. It strips away the excuses. It burns off the fear. It exposes what truly matters. When everything comfortable is removed, you find out what's real. Pressure reveals priorities. When you're at your limit, you stop pretending. You stop pretending. You stop performing. You stop trying to impress. You get honest. And honesty is the birthplace of transformation. Finally admit what needs to change. You finally confront what you've been avoiding. You finally see clearly. The clarity often comes through crisis. I've learned something about people who rise to greatness. They don't avoid the breaking point. They go through it. They let it shape them instead of shatter them. They don't deny the pain. They use it. They don't run from the pressure. They grow under it. You can even let the breaking point make you bitter or make you better. That choice is yours. Because here's the truth. You cannot step into a higher level with a lower level mindset. Something has to stretch. Something has to expand. Something has to crack open. And that cracking doesn't mean you're finished. It means you're being rebuilt. The metal is forged, it's heated until it glows. It looks like it's being destroyed, but in reality, it's being strengthened. The heat rearranges its structure. It becomes tougher, more resilient, more durable. Without the heat, it stays weak. Boom, you're in the heat right now. And while it feels overwhelming, it's rearranging you. It's shifting your tolerance. It's increasing your endurance. It's deepening your endurance. It's deepening your faith. The version of you that comes out of this will not panic at the same things, will not fold under the same pressure, will not doubt at the same level. You are being upgraded, but upgrades require disruption. Comfort has to be disturbed. Limits have to be challenged. Old habits have to be broken. And that process doesn't feel good. It feels like loss. It feels like confusion. It feels like exhaustion. Stay in it. Because when you survive your breaking point, you realize something powerful. You were stronger than the thing that tried to crush you. You were bigger than the fear that tried to paralyze you. You were built for more than you thought. The breaking point is the doorway, not the grave. Walk through it. Stand in the fire and let it refine you. Let it strip away doubt. Let it expose courage. Let it awaken resilience you didn't know existed. People in your house. Let's talk about rejection, because if you're going to walk into purpose, you're going to meet rejection along the way. It's not a possibility. It's a guarantee. Doors will close. Calls won't come back. Then the opportunities will slip through your finger. People you thought would stay will walk away, and it hurts. It hits your pride. It shakes your confidence. It makes you question your worth. You start replaying conversations in your head. What did I do wrong? What could I have said differently? Maybe I'm not good enough. Stop right there. Rejection is not a declaration of your value. It's a redirection of your path. Every closed door is not a denial. Sometimes it's protection. Sometimes it's positioning. Sometimes it's positioning. Sometimes it's pushing you away from summer. But in that looks good but isn't meant for you. You see rejection as loss. But what if it's alignment? Not every opportunity fits your assignment. Not every relationship belongs in your future. Not every open door leads to your destiny. Some doors are distractions just as blessing. And if they stayed open, they would drain you, delay you, or derail you, or derail you. You don't see the full picture. You only see the no, but there's a bigger perspective operating behind the scenes. Think about it. If every person who left had stayed, would you have grown the way you did? If every opportunity you wanted had worked out, would you have discovered the discipline you were forced to develop it? If every door opened easily, would you have built the resilience you carry now? Rejection refines you. It sharpens your focus. It strengthens your resolve. It teaches you to separate validation from purpose, because if you live for approval, rejection will destroy you. But if you live for calling, rejection will direct you. Sometimes a no is clearing the path for a better yes. What you're upset because they didn't choose you. But what if being chosen there would have limited you later? You're frustrated because you didn't get the position. But what if that position would have kept your potential? You're heartbroken because someone walked away. But what if they were never meant to walk beside you in the next season? Rejection doesn't mean you're not enough. It means that space wasn't designed to hold who you're becoming. And hear me clearly, you cannot force alignment. If something is meant for you, you won't have to beg for it. You won't have to shrink for it. It won't have to compromise your integrity to keep it. What's meant for you will recognize you. Now, that doesn't mean you won't face resistance. It doesn't mean you won't have to work, but it does mean that you won't have to betray yourself just to fit. Rejection teaches you self-respect. It forces you to stand firm in who you are. To say, if this door doesn't open, I trust another will. To say, if they can't see my value, I won't lower to convince them. That's growth. And let me tell you something else. Sometimes rejection is preparation for elevation. You cannot carry old approval into new levels. The higher you go, the fewer hands you'll hold. The path narrow, the circle tightens, and not everyone can climb with you. So when they walk away, let them, when the door closes, don't pound on it until your knuckles bleed. Step back, breathe, deep. It is at work. The bad boats of pain is at work. The pain is real. I won't deny that. Rejection stings and humbles you. It can even embarrass you. But pain doesn't mean permanent damage. Pain can be a teacher. It teaches you to detach your identity from outcomes. You are aren't your last interview. You are not your last relationship. You are not your last missed opportunity. You are still called, still capable, still chosen for something greater. The rejection is not the final word over your life. Sometimes it's simply a sign that your journey is being adjusted, a course correction, a shift in direction that you'll understand later. See, one day you'll look back at the door that closed and say, thank you, not because it didn't hurt, but because it led you somewhere better, than because it led you somewhere better. Don't let rejection shrink you. Let it strengthen you. The most trouble in your house. It is let me speak to you about something dangerous, making permanent decisions in temporary pain. When you're exhausted, when you're frustrated, when you feel like nothing is moving, that's when your emotions get loud. Emotions are powerful, but they are not always truthful. Pain has a voice, and when it speaks, it sounds convincing. It tells you it's never going to change. It tells you you've tried enough. It tells you just walk away. And in the heat of the moment, that voice feels logical, it feels justified, it feels reasonable. But feelings are temporary. Decisions can be permanent. You cannot let a hard season cancel a lifelong calling. You cannot allow a moment of exhaustion to steal a lifetime of impact. Storms feel endless when you're standing in them. Rain can blind you while you're in the middle of it. But no storm lasts forever. The same sky that's dark today will clear tomorrow. The same ground that feels frozen in winter will bloom in spring. Seasons change even when you can't see it happening. Right now you may feel overwhelmed. You may feel like you've given everything you have. You may feel like you're pouring into people, into work, into faith, and nothing is pouring back into you. That emptiness can tempt you to quit. But quitting an emotion is like tearing down a house because the lights went out. Sometimes you just need rest. Sometimes you just need to breathe. Sometimes you just need to step back and regain strength. Resting is not quitting. Pausing is not surrendering. Grouping is not failure. There's a difference between being tired and being finished. And too many people confuse the two. You're not finished. You're fatigued. You're not done. You're drained. And drained seasons require restoration, not resignation. When you emote, the that's a narrow. All you can see is what's wrong. All you can feel is what's missing. But emotion magnifies the negative and minimizes the promise. That's why you must anchor yourself in something deeper than feelings. Purpose doesn't disappear because you're tired. Calling doesn't evaporate because you're discouraged. The assignment on your life doesn't expire because you had a rough month. Don't let one chapter convince you to close the entire book. Some of the greatest breakthroughs happen right after the moment. People almost quit right after the breakdown, right after the tears, right after the breakdown, right after the tears, right after they can't do this anymore. The pressure builds before it releases. The tension increases before the shift. And if you walk away too soon, you'll never see what was forming on the other side. You've survived hard days before. You faced moments you thought would break you, and yet you're still here. That means resilience is already in your house. It is the strength that's already in you. The ability to endure is already in you. You just can't let temporary emotion make you blind to permanent potential. When you feel like quitting, ask yourself this: am I making this decision from clarity or from pain? People in your house. It is the am I responding with wisdom or reacting from hurt? Am I moving forward with vision or retreating from discomfort? Discomfort is not always a sign to leave. Sometimes it's a sign that you're growing. Growth stretches you. Growth challenges you. Growth disrupts your comfort zone. The most trouble in your house, it is if every time it gets uncomfortable, your future self is watching this moment. The stronger, wiser, more fulfilled version of you is depending on the decision you make right now. Will you walk away because it's hard, or will you stay because it matters to either? There's too much on the line for you to give up in a moment of frustration. Most trouble in your house, it is above. Your community needs the resilient you. The next generation needs to discipline you. The world doesn't need another person who almost made it. It needs someone who stayed the course. Let me remind you of something powerful that you keep forgetting. When the pressure rises, you've survived every single worst day you've ever had. Every heartbreak, every disappointment, every setback that made you think, this is it, I'm done. And yet here you are, breathing, standing, listening. That's not luck. That's resilient. There were days you didn't think you'd make it through the night. Days when the weight on your shoulders felt unbearable. Days when you smiled in public and broke down in private. Days when you questioned everything, your strength, your faith, your future. But you made it. You didn't just survive the easy day. You survived the ones that tried to break you, the ones that tested your patience, the ones that shook your confidence. The ones that force you to dig deeper than you ever had before. And if you've survived 100% of your worst days so far, what makes you think this one is any different? See, fear has a way of erasing your history. It makes you forget what you've already overcome. It makes you believe this challenge is bigger than you. But the truth is, you have a track record of endurance. You have proof that you can handle hard things. Look back for a moment. Remember the obstacle you thought was impossible. You're past it. Remember the situation that had you losing sleep. It didn't last forever. The most trouble in your house, remember the door that closed and felt like the end of your world. You're still here. You didn't crumble. You grew. Strength isn't built in comfort. It's built in survival. It is built in the quiet decisions you made when nobody was watching. It's built in the mornings you got up when you didn't feel like it. It's built in the discipline you chose when quitting felt easier. Resilience isn't loud. It's consistent. When you didn't always feel strong, but you kept going anyway. You didn't always feel confident, but you showed up anyway. You didn't always feel hopeful, but you held on anyway. That's power. And here's the truth. You're stronger than your fear. Fear screams. It is the fear screams. It exacts. It hates. It paints worst case scenarios in your mind. But fear has no memory. It doesn't remind you of your victories. It doesn't remind you of your progress. It only focuses on what could go wrong. Remind yourself of what's already gone right. You've already proven you can endure discomfort. You've already proven you can adapt. You've already proven you can adapt. You've already proven you can rise after falling. That's not accidental. That's character. It is something treasure can't steal. It can only reveal. You might feel tired right now. You might feel stretched thin, but tired doesn't mean weak. It means you've been fighting. It means you've been fighting. It means you've been pushing. That means you care enough to try. The fact that you're still standing after everything you've been through is evidence that there's more inside you than you've even tapped into yet. Don't underestimate yourself. You've handled loss, handled rejection, you've handled rejection, you've handled delay, you've handled uncertainty. And every time you came out wiser, every time you came out sharper, every time you came out sharper, that's not coincidence. That's not coincidence. That's growth. The stubble in your house, it is the sometimes we pray for strength, but when strength arrives, it shows up disguised as challenge. It shows up as responsibility. It shows up as pressure. And we think we're being attacked when in reality, we're being elevated. It is, you don't know how strong you are until strength is acquired. And strength has been required of you again and again. And you've delivered. So why doubt yourself now? This current challenge is not greater than your accumulated resilience. It's bigger because you're in the middle of it. But one day, this too will be a story you tell. One day, this will be another example of how you endured. The pattern is clear. You face it. You fight it. You face it. You fight it. In your house, it is you grow from it. And you win not because it was easy, but because you refuse to stay down. You are not fragile. You are forged. Let's talk about the promise, not the one people made to you and broke. This day, not the one circumstances seem to cancel. I'm talking about the promise that was planted in your spirit long before you had proof. The dream that won't leave you alone. The vision that keeps coming back even after disappointment tried to bury it. And that promise is still alive. You may have doubted it. You may have doubted it. You may have doubted, distracted, but it has not died. Purpose doesn't expire because of delay. Destiny doesn't dissolve because of difficulty. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it's not happening. There's a difference. Sometimes we think if we can't see movement, nothing is moving. Nothing is moving. But underground growth is still growth. Seeds don't stop being seeds because they're covered in dirt. They're developing roots, and roots are necessary before fruit. You ever appears, maybe you're in the root season. You look around and see others advancing, others celebrating, others stepping into what you've been praying for. And if you're not careful, comparison will convince you that you missed your moment. Behind, that you're too late. But timing is not a race, it's alignment. What's meant for you will arrive when you are prepared to carry it. Not just when you want it, but when you can sustain it. There's a difference between receiving something and being ready for it. Some blessings are heavy. Some opportunities come with weight. Influence comes with responsibility. The innovation comes with scrutiny. If the promise showed up before your character was ready, it would crush you. So the delay isn't denial, it's development. You may feel overlooked. You may feel like your efforts are on no test. You may feel like you're pouring into the ground and nothing is coming back up. But don't confuse visibility with value. Just because it's not public doesn't mean it's not powerful. The promise was never dependent on applause. It was planted in you for a reason. You didn't imagine it. You didn't create it out of thin air. There's a reason it keeps resurfacing in your heart. There's a reason you can't fully walk away from it. Even when you try to ignore it, it whispers back. That's purpose, and purpose doesn't give up on you just because. Use your tide with your might feel buried under responsibility, under doubt, under setbacks, but buried is not the same as dead. Buried seeds grow. Dead seeds don't. If there's still desire in you, if there's still vision in you, if there's still a flick of a belief in you, that means something is alive. Protect that flame. Don't let disappointment smother it. Don't let fear talk you out of it. Don't let delay convince you it's foolish. The greatest visions often look impossible before they become inevitable. Time does not cancel destiny in your house. It is Obstacles do not erase calling. People walking away do not remove what was placed inside you. And here's something you need to understand. What is truly assigned to your life cannot be stolen by someone else. It cannot be permanently blocked by rejection. It could not be erased by a wrong turn. You might take the long route. You might have to learn some lessons along the way. But if it's meant for you, it will circle back. You are not behind. You are being built. You are not forgotten. You are being formed. You are not disqualified. You are being developed. The promise is patient. It waits while you grow. It waits while you strengthen. It waits while you mature. It waits while you mature. It won't feel rushed. It will feel right, but you must stay aligned. You must stay faithful in the unseen scene. Eason, you must keep showing up when there's no spotlight. You must keep believing when there's no evidence, because the promise responds to persistence. One day, what you prayed for will stand in front of you. One day, what felt distant will feel tangible. And you'll realize that every delay had a lesson. Every obstacle had a purpose. Every closed door redirected you toward the right one. The promise is not fragile. It's resilient, just like you, just like you. Now, this is the moment that separates talk from transformation. This is where everything we've said comes down to one decision. Not a big dramatic decision, not a loud announcement, to just one choice to get up one more time. You don't have to feel strong to stand. You just have to decide. There will be days when your body feels heavy and your mind feels louder than your faith. Days when the disappointment lingers. Days when the memory of rejection still stings. Days when the silence feels thicker than usual. And in those moments, the easiest thing to do is stay down. But staying down becomes a habit, and habits shape destinies. And getting up is an act of defiance. It's you looking at everything that tried to push you back and saying, you don't get the final word. It's not about pretending the pain isn't real. It's about refusing to let the pain be permanent. You fall, you rise. It is a debate. That's life. Champions are not people who never hide the ground. They're people who refuse to stay there. They understand something powerful. Every time you get up, you build momentum. Every time you rise after a setback, you strengthen your spirit. The most trouble in your house, it is every time you stand when it would be easier to quit, you expand your endurance. You don't need to leap. You just need to lift yourself one more time. Maybe you're not where you thought you'd be by now. That's it. Maybe the timeline in your head didn't unfold the way you planned. But progress isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet consistency. Sometimes it's just waking up and choosing not to give up. That choice matters more than you think, because the breakthrough often hides behind persistence. It doesn't show up for the one who tries once. It reveals itself to the one who refuses to stop. The door doesn't always open on the first knock. Sometimes it opens on the 10th, sometimes on the 100th, but it opens for the one who keeps knocking. And when you get up again, something shifts inside you. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to see that you're not as fragile as you once thought. You begin to realize that strength is not about never feeling pain. It's about rising in spite of it. There's a version of you waiting on the other side of this decision, a stronger version. The principle in your house. It is a more disciplined version, a more focused version. That version is built every time you choose to stand in still. The surrender. Getting up is not glamorous. It's not always celebrated. Sometimes nobody sees it but you, but the quiet victories are the ones that matter most. The private decisions shape public outcomes. You don't need applause to rise, you need conviction. Conviction that your life has meaning. Conviction that your struggle has purpose. Conviction that this season, no matter how heavy, is not your final chapter. And let me remind you, if you're still breathing, you're not done. If you're still here, there's still assignment. There's still impact. There's still something left for you to build, to say, to create, to overcome. The enemy of your future isn't failure. It's quitting. Failure teaches, failure refines. Failure strengthens, but quitting ends the lesson before it produces growth. Don't cut off your own potential because the climb feels steep. Stand up again. What the confidence feels thin. Even if your knees are shaking, even if your faith feels smaller than it used to. People in your house. It is the Stand anyway. Because every time you rise, you send a message to your fear. You don't control me. Every time you rise, you send a message to your doubt. You don't define me. Every time you rise, you reinforce the truth that resilience lives inside you. This is not about perfection. It's about persistence, not about having it all figured out, but about refusing to fold. One more prayer, one more step, one more application, one more application, one more attempt, one more day. That one more can change everything. Years from now, you won't remember how tired you felt. You'll remember that you didn't give up. You'll remember that when it would have been easy to disappear, you decided to show up. So right now, in this moment, make the decision, not based on emotion, not based on fear, but based on purpose. Rise with stitch to bow. I did rise. If you're choosing to get up one more time, type I'm rising again and make that declaration real.